Welcome to episode 225 of In Touch with iOS, the show that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, and related technologies. I'm your host, Dave Ginsburg, and I have a great panel this week. First off, Mr. Guy Serle is back on the show. How you doing, Guy?
Hey, Dave. It's good to be here.
I'm glad you're here. I always enjoy having you on the show. Jeff Gamet's also back. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing great. Happy to see you.
Happy to see you as well. And last but certainly not least, Warren Sklar is here as well. How you doing, Warren?
I found Guy.
The acoustically perfect Warren Sklar.
Yeah, he does have. We were talking about his soundproof tiles and pre-show, so he's ready to go for that. But
I'm in my Faraday box.
Yeah, it'll keep you quiet from.
I'm protected.
All those things. So got enough stories to talk about this week. Some news. Some beta has been active this week. Big release for iOS 16. We're going to hit some more iOS 16 stuff that we like. And, there's all kinds of other stuff we got to talk about here. But as we always do, let's start with the news this week. And this has been kind of an interestingly hot topic this week. German airline Lufthansa was originally announced this week that they were banning AirTags because it was causing problems with communication because of the small little CR2032 battery hits in the little tag. But then they turned around and backpedaled and says, we're not banning tags after all. They came back and said they were worried about Bluetooth trackers that were checking for luggage. And then they finally got guidance from the German aviation authorities and confirmed that AirTags do not pose a safety risk in luggage because of their low battery and transmission power. Come on, guys! It's just a stupid, silly AirTag. You should be able to just track your luggage. Why not? Don't you think, Jeff?
It was never about the radio signal or the battery.
Never. They were just trying to ban them.
I think it blew it out of proportion because everybody blew it out of proportion before clarification happened. I think it was probably a loss in translation kind of conversation. I don't think
they were pretty explicit with their wording.
Again, they have people on different teams, and somebody who didn't know what an AirTag was probably tried to explain it to somebody who made a decision of what it is, and was improper in their decision in their conversation, and the guy thought it was something that it wasn't. And I
think you're being far too generous. Well, I would love it to be that.
Yeah.
If I were a betting man, I would put money on Lufthansa is so tired of the bad publicity that they're getting from their ability to lose luggage in massive amounts. And then
it's their superpower.
Yes, it is their superpower. And then
I didn't hear. I mean,
this is an ongoing problem for Lufthansa.
Dave Hamilton just said he flew him, said it was fine. I mean, up until the story, I'd never heard that Lufthansa had a bad reputation.
Well, I mean, it's not like every single person that's going to fly on Lufthansa is going to have their luggage lost. It's just
and to be fair, all airlines are going to be the king
over
of loss at this point. They also in that way. But we were talking how do you lose luggage at this day and age too, which is the crazy part. And then my last thing is, why would they care? Like, we never really figured out why they would even care if an AirTag.
Oh no, we figured it out because
we kind of thought that maybe it would piss people off because they could call Lufthansa and say, I mean, what are they? Lufthansa saying we lost it, and then you call up and saying, well, no, I know where it is.
Okay, so what was happening was Lufthansa would lose luggage, and then they would say, we know where it is. It's in this location, and we will have it to you by X date and time. And people would look at their AirTags, and the AirTags would say that it's not in the same city, and in some cases, not even in the same country. And then Lufthansa would come back and say, oh, no, we've got it sorted out. This is where it is now. And it either hasn't moved or now it's in a completely different city or different country.
Why would Lufthansa wouldn't do that? Lufthansa would say, in that case, they would say, this is a good thing. Hey, this woman says put it on hold. This woman said that her luggage is blah, blah, blah. Give a call over to that place and check. They have no business reason for monetary costs to not have that happen.
It makes them look bad.
It makes them look bad because they may, if they're making a decision to, like Jeff says, ignore the information that they're getting and That's what Jeff's saying is basically.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. They chose to ignore the information that their own customers were providing them to tell the customers that they had it under control and knew where their luggage was, even when they did not.
Well, that's okay. Then this is not a luggage thing anymore. This is just a terrible.
Exactly. Yes. Now you get it. This has never been about AirTags. Or about privacy, or excuse me, this has never been about airline safety and security. This has always been about Lufthansa trying to protect their public image.
See, if I was American Airlines, I would come out and say, "Hey, you got your AirTags in there? You make a commercial where somebody calls looking for the luggage, and and you think it's somewhere else. You're working there, and the girl says, "No, I know it's here and there." And it's like, oh, that's great. I mean, that's a selling point. I don't know. I don't know why if it would be American Airline.
It's not like Lufthansa has a huge presence of city to city air travel here in the United States.
I just understand American Airlines. There's no gain for them to
Airflug. That would be their big rival.
I just don't see what they're gaining by
nothing.
They're
this. Gaining nothing.
I mean, other than
they were trying to. In their twisted logic, what they thought they were gaining was taking control of the message and stopping people from calling them out for losing luggage. And all they did was create this big mess that they then tried to push off onto the regulatory agencies. And the regulatory agencies were like, "Oh, no." And so now they're at the point where they've had to backpedal and say, "Okay, sorry, we just misunderstood, and it's all okay now."
And stop there for a second. AirTags aren't the end all of, they're not perfect either. So I mean, a lot of these people, right? So a lot of these people calling Lufthansa saying, "Hey, it's in Michigan. I promise you, it's in Michigan." That might have been the last place that it got a ding, right, from an AirTag communication.
Yeah, it could be.
But your luggage might be somewhere else. And Lufthansa, who's on the phone saying, "No, I know. It's in Bismarck. I know it's there. We scanned it, blah, blah, blah." And Karen on the other line's yelling at them saying, "No, I know it's in Michigan," and it's not. So, I mean,
that's a possibility. However, they have a long track record of that actually not being the case.
And how many flights would they have to North Dakota?
How do you get that information? How do you know Lufthansa has a bad track record of lying where the luggage is?
Just do a Google search on Lufthansa luggage and start reading the articles.
Do that for any airline. Pick one out of your
Sure. Ass. But in this case, it's Lufthansa that decided, we've got a fix for the problem. And it turns out, no, they didn't. The real fix is
I don't think
deal with your luggage tracking problem.
I think there was a language issue or communication issue. Yeah. I can't.
I wish that. I would love to believe that.
Are you saying they don't speak American?
Let's move on here.
I think the American intern tech guy was trying to explain to the Swedish or whatever they are executive what the hell the AirTag is, and it didn't work.
Swedish.
All right. Next story here. Apple Card cannot be used. Error forcing users to remove and re-add cards. If Apple Card had suddenly stopped working, you weren't alone. This occurred yesterday as we record this. The system status page indicated there was an issue. It resulted in some Apple Card users receiving "this card cannot be used" error in the Wallet app. Apple said affected users should tap on remove card and then re-add the Apple Card to the wallet by tapping the plus sign in the right corner, choosing previous cards, and then it just re-adds it. They're unclear why this happened, or it was a widespread issue or not. Of course, Apple, as always, never shares any details when something like this happens. Apple Card's been around since 2019, so I can't believe it's been almost 3 years now since I
think Apple did that on purpose released to remind people they have an Apple Card and to use it.
Yeah, they haven't.
Now Warren jumps onto the. It's a nefarious act.
So here we go.
Lufthansa is the best, and Apple is the devil, and we all know that.
Yeah,
well, they're doomed.
Apple is doomed. Like we always say. So, just obviously, some weird glitch that happens.
Can I take this off the rails for a second, as if we've been on them?
Yeah.
Okay, so Apple's fix for this, totally reasonable. Take the card out, put it back in, it resets, it's fine. But it brings up a problem that I cannot believe Apple has not addressed yet, which is if you have multiple credit cards on your Apple Watch and you want them in a specific order, you have to go in and figure out the order to set each card as the default.
Right.
So that moves to the top of the list.
I've only had it set to default. I never got that granular of needing to know what my second or third method of payment is in life. But my default card, I know if you add a card and bring it back, sometimes it will make the one you added back to default. And that's gotten me a few times where I pay for something on the wrong card.
No, then don't put that card in there.
Stop putting your wife's credit card on your iPhone.
So that she can see what you buy because you keep having to explain yourself. So, next story: the Apple Cash Card, the daily Cash Card, which I find to be a nice thing to have, especially when you're getting your 3% cash back on your Apple Card and going right into that. It can soon now go into a Goldman Sachs savings account. You'll be able to open up a new high yield savings account with no minimum or fees. And Apple announced this week, as we record this, that they're adding this new feature to allow this to happen. You do have to open a new savings account if you want to be able to do this. And as of right now, it's only in the U.S. So for those of you listening outside the U.S., as you know, you can't even get the Apple Card. So I guess you know that.
They just have to take a Lufthansa plane from Sweden
with carry-on luggage.
So it doesn't have a balance. It has no fees, and they do have a savings account. Actually, it's doing 2.15%, which is actually pretty high compared to this.
That was
savings.
Going to be my question. What's the
because these savings accounts usually are like a 0.08, not whatever the hell they are. It's like under percent. But
let's not get into inflation and how that relates to savings accounts.
Right.
No, does anybody even use savings? I mean, nobody.
I have a savings account.
I have
a savings account, but you don't have it to accrue.
My God, no. It's more like an emergency fund.
Right.
I've got the T-Mobile. I have T-Mobile Money, and if you do 10 transactions on your ATM card a month, you get 4% interest on the balance.
Yeah.
I think if I do 10 transactions a month on my card, on that card, I get hit with fines.
Why is that?
I don't know, but yeah. So I don't use my ATM. Oh no, I'm sorry. It's my debit card, not the ATM
debit card. Debit card. It's a MasterCard debit card.
Yeah. So, different thing.
Fees, not fines, right? You get
fees.
Yeah.
Oh, you said I was like fines. I felt
fines. I'm like
fees.
So you're getting
the fines that Apple and Lufthansa put on you.
Jeff, here's a $50 fine for using. No, I'm sorry.
A couple stories from Microsoft this week, since Microsoft did have their big Surface event, talked about their new computers. Whoop-de-doo. New Apple services are being rolled out on Windows 11 and on the Xbox. Music is for Xbox is here now. Music and TV for Windows will come later. Today, Microsoft and Apple announced a number of deeper integrations with Apple services, including on both Windows and PCs and Xbox. And they're also going to have the iCloud photo library within the Windows 11 Photos app. We have listeners. We have listeners that are using Windows. Yeah,
I could tell you about that. Go ahead.
But I think this is a good thing, and this is just showing that Apple is really wanting to get out into other markets. I mean, there's no.
So it's mostly related to content services then.
Content,
music,
right. Services,
TV,
expanding on their services. The services,
the stuff they make money on.
They're making money on, so why not have it in Microsoft? I mean, this is a great idea, and
but the iCloud for the photo library, it's not for services. I mean, that's more for their iOS iPhone / Windows user people who they know they have because the iCloud photos for Windows has been the worst junk since junk has been junk. It's horrible.
Tell us how you really feel.
It's just terrible. So, is this thing that they're coming out that's going to be iCloud photos for, I think it said Windows Photos. It's basically, it's going to integrate with Windows Photos, they said. Is that going to be like, I mean, back in the day, right? iPhoto was a selling point for a Mac. And that was why people had, Macs. So
right.
Essentially at this point, it only took how many years? Now we have iPhoto for Windows, more or less, because that's what this is going to be.
Well, in Apple's defense, Lufthansa lost the suitcase with the code.
And they had,
this is going to keep going here.
Why didn't they put their AirTag in there?
Right?
It flew
They
out of
really
the
should.
Bismarck.
Because they're evil.
All right. Yeah.
You saw iJustine as a
Off the rails.
Yeah, she was she did a she was at the Surface event
Yeah.
and did some videos on the Surface devices. So, but yeah, there was two stories here. The Apple service is rolling, and then as we just talked about, iPhone users will have integration with iCloud Photos on a Windows PC, which they didn't have before. So, that's a good thing that they're going to actually integrate more directly, because that, like you said, there was not a pleasant experience in the past. But hey, they still have plenty of people out there who don't want to use a Mac and want to use a PC, and that's fine. It's nice to have some nice integrations with Apple. Again, Microsoft had their Microsoft Ignite event this week. That's for the enterprise and developers, as well as the Surface event this week as well. So there was a few announcements this week that affected us iPhone folks. With 2 weeks left in October, is Apple going to hold one more event in 2022? Apple does often hold an event in October to announce new iPads and Macs, but is there one coming this year? There's been a lot of speculation where the fact that they did introduce the iPhone 14 and the Apple Watch Ultra at the event in September, but there are several new Macs and iPads rumored to be coming out soon. And are they going to have an event, or are they going to be doing just a press release? I like to hear your take, Jeff. Why is Apple being kind of wishy-washy? But they're already halfway through the month in October here.
I came up with a new theory or hypothesis on this today, somewhere in the last revolution of our planet, and it's that instead of doing a big media event like they did for the iPhone, they will roll out the products with press releases, and it will coincide with an event that I didn't realize Apple had people speaking at. Jaws and Air Force One are going to be at the Wall Street Journal event.
Yep,
that's coming up in.
I was going to include that
before the end of the month, and so I'm thinking that maybe they will be talking about the products at that event, and we'll just have press releases to go along with them.
Yeah, that makes even more sense. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, I'll make sure I have the article in the show notes about the Wall Street Journal event that's happening. Joanna Stern is actually going to be interviewing both Jaws.
Yes, that's right.
So that's going to be a good event because she's a great interviewer, and she's going to be asking them lots of questions. The article actually did say that. Could they actually announce when the iPad OS 16 is finally going to release in Mac OS and Ventura, since we're still waiting on that, and we've had some new betas here we'll just talk about in a minute. But so yeah, this is kind of strange. I think last few, they have in this article on Macworld showing the different dates from the last 10 years, and it's all right around mid-October. So it's very strange.
I still can't believe that the world's not on Ventura. It's been so. It just feels like it's already been out forever at this point. And
well, speak for yourself, since you're always on cutting edge.
Well, is it really even cutting edge anymore? I mean, how long is it's
It's going to be out of date by the time it's released.
Yeah, exactly. At this point, it's going to be the WWDC again. So, I'm guessing there'll probably be more iPads. I don't know what computers are coming. I can't even imagine what is due. Pretty much everything.
Well, I think that there will be at least one more event, and whether it's in November or December, it's hard to say. But I'm seeing probably M2 MacBook Pros,
right?
Likely some kind of update, and that may be a soft release for the iMac. I still don't see them making a bigger than the 24-inch iMac, M series iMac. I think that's where we're going. I think we're going to be there for a while.
The 14 and 16-inch Pros that we have now. How can
Well, they're still on M1s, which are fine chips. If you have an M1,
the thing is, it's right now it's the fastest chip out right now, as of right now.
Right. Well, you know that the M2 Pros and M2 Maxes are on their way if they're not already in prototype machines over in Cupertino.
Yeah. But if nothing else changed, it'd be like such a weird thing for somebody to want to upgrade because of that. I don't know. It's people
update for all kinds of reasons.
I just don't think
that would be a reasonable
newer processor.
Press release.
Yeah. Well, I think if M2 MacBook Pros, I think would warrant an event. I don't think that an M2 iMac would. I would also say that we're probably not going to see a new M series Mac Pro in 2022, but we could see an M2 series Mac Studio. I would love to see an M2 Mac Studio come out, and that could happen, I think, before the end of the year.
Yeah, I would love.
But if they release M2 MacBook Pros, that's going to be part of an event.
Guy, your window for the event, I want to narrow it down.
Okay.
So if Apple does a November event, it has to be early enough in the month so that products are shipping by Thanksgiving, because that's when you kick off the holiday buying season.
Yeah.
And or at least you can pre-order by then, and shipping in December.
Yeah, so we're looking at about 3 weeks.
But more so,
if they're going to have an event.
I'm thinking the buttoned iPad is going to be done at this event. I also think that the last of the Lightning connectors will be gone as well. Yes, I think.
The iPhone 14 is going to stick with Lightning connectors. I mean, they've already it's already out.
They already have
and released. But any new devices from here on in, I think the Lightning connector is done. Yeah.
Well, for the iPad, so they're saying the iPads would have touched
the entry level iPad. Yeah, the 9th gen,
$339, the $339 version,
$349 or whatever it is.
Yeah, although you get one now for Amazon.
Well, they were selling it for $299.
I saw it for $260. I'm like, I don't need it. $260. I don't need it.
How many did you buy?
None, because I don't need it.
Sure, you did.
Where's the real Warren? What have you done with him?
I don't know.
The wife is watching.
I got 4.
I'm still on the 2018 iPad Pro.
I have one here. It's perfect.
I'm still on my 2020 Mac Mini, the M1 Mac Mini.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, there's nothing that it can't do. It's for me at least.
So the last major purchase I made, I bought an M1 16-inch MacBook Pro, 1 terabyte drive with 32 gigs of RAM, and it's mostly collecting dust because that's kind of my travel machine, and it kind of breaks my heart that the fastest computer I have in this house is one I hardly ever use.
That's another story.
Yeah.
Personal problems.
Next story here. Let's move on, if you guys don't mind. Netflix announced a basics with ads plans for $6.99 a month. They announced this today as we record this. It's ad supported. It's been in the works for the last several months. It's a new basic with ads plan. Yeah. And it's in the United States. It's $3 cheaper than the basic plan. So what it'll basically mean is it's going to have the basics with ads will be alongside the basic, standard, and premium plans, offering 720p streaming video. And then it will also have 4 to 5 minutes of commercials per hour when they.
There's nothing bad with this.
They're watching this. Also, it's going to be. I also heard that it's going to. You're going to be like limited series and if they have new releases and a lot of stuff that's exclusive to the premium service, you're not going to be able to watch on here either. So,
and there you go.
I don't know.
They're not affecting. Yeah. It's not like they're changing the existing plans. And and
you can't download the movies stuff like if you want to take it on a trip, so you can't do that if you have the basic plan too. Mm-hmm. So
if you want to do all that stuff, pay $4 more.
Exactly.
This is an option for people who don't want to pay the $11, and that's what they get.
Yeah,
just like
right. Well, the people that don't want to pay the $11 are leaving the platform. Is what they're doing. They're not right. They're not going to come back and spend $7 a month to watch exclusive content from Netflix with ads, and a lot of the exclusive content you won't be able to watch anyway.
A lot of people will. I mean, there's a lot of people who don't mind ads and will pay less. I mean,
okay, but those aren't going to be, for the most part, I don't think it's going to be new customers. It's going to be people dropping their more expensive Netflix plan for a cheaper Netflix plan. If they don't mind ads,
for Netflix,
then what's no, it's not. If
they would drop, they would lose them as a customer. So
the people that aren't going to watch
one time.
Go ahead, Warren.
They're not. If somebody is thinking about dropping Netflix, and as you said, they drop down to the ad-supported plan because they want to pay less, Netflix says, "Cool, that client was about to leave, and now they're not, and we have $7."
I think most of the people that are thinking about dropping Netflix, it has nothing to do with ads. It just has to do with the fact that they're not watching Netflix content. And offering it for a cheaper price where you can't see all the content and you have to watch ads isn't going to bring those people back, and it's not going to retain that many people that are thinking about leaving anyway.
Right. So for Netflix, it's an other option between a customer staying or leaving for that customer. And hey, if it didn't cost them any money to flip a switch that said $7.99 for this, and basically. They're getting money from advertisers, so they're making money there, right? Because they're playing ads. And basically, if you're a Netflix customer who might want to pay less and the ads don't bother you, you'll catch those people before they leave Netflix.
And the streaming wars continue. Let's go on to the next story.
Again, we seem to think that Netflix is a bad company for us, but if they go away, you're going to be very unhappy. Trust me, because
I don't think there are
lots of other choices.
There's so many other choices,
and Netflix has shows here and there too. I mean,
speaking of choices, you have YouTube TV is now going to be supporting 5.1 surround sound. This was announced last month, but hadn't got to the story, so I wanted to make sure I mentioned it. The Apple TV has been updated to use the 5.1 audio support, and it's compatible with the live DVR and on-demand content, which is watched on YouTube TV. The 5.0 audio is going to also offer the surround sound. It has brand names included the Dolby Digital, Dolby Pro Logic, THX, and DTS. YouTube says that the content that supports 5.1 surround sound will play in the format automatically when you use the YouTube app or a compatible device, which includes the Apple TV. So I think this is good to see. They continue on on that. Anybody have any comments about that? Okay.
Does anyone think that the Apple TV has legs?
Yes, it does.
As a hardware, hardware.
Yes.
They wouldn't be discounting. They've been discounting like crazy. I mean, today I just saw that they were discounting the Apple TV HD model for $79.99. That's the cheapest I've ever seen.
Maybe October event time for something new.
Yeah, maybe another press release that a new line of Apple TVs that could be more affordable.
I would love them to do something really cool with the Apple TV. I really would. It's the most, as Dave knows, it doesn't even get the betas because I don't check them to put the beta on it. And it's a shame because it's such a beautiful thing, but I'm just never in it. So, but I would love Apple to do something where I want to be in that, other than watching content, because I can watch content.
Well, that's the biggest problem with the Apple TV.
Right. That's the problem now, because if you
have Apple Arcade,
there's nothing I could do on the Apple TV that I can't do on my smart TV. Once in a while, I think I had to even go to both Apple and both my Apple TV and my smart TV. I was trying to play an Apple show, Apple TV Plus show, the space one, and we would try to play it, and it would just skip, and it would go back to the beginning, and we couldn't get it to work on either one. I fired up my Amazon.
Yeah. On smart TV, you said?
Yeah, so on the smart TV and the Apple TV, it just wouldn't play this one episode, and it was frustrating. So I fired up. I have a Fire TV stick, a 4K stick in TV, and I had the Apple TV app, and that worked. And so, I mean, that just goes to show you that it's literally just all these things that at this point are just a video player, VLC.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah, well, that's part of the reason why I think that the Apple TV is not long for this world.
Right, but if they could do something like put gaming, God, if you could combine,
they tried and it didn't work.
VR? What about the VR in this thing now? So you get this VR AR, you get the Apple TV in the middle with the TV, and you're combining images.
Well, they haven't even released any hardware that's AR or VR yet.
Think they could.
They talk about it a lot, but they haven't released anything.
There's so many missed opportunities with gaming on it, like family gaming. Yeah. It was just perfect for family gaming.
Well, release it. Yeah, release it. All they had to do really was just include Apple Arcade free for a year or 2 years or whatever, and have a couple of exclusive controllers that work over Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or wherever with the Apple TV.
You ever play You Don't Know Jack, like the video?
Oh yeah.
Play that on your thing, right? So like the Apple TV, we had that on there because everybody had their iPhone and it paired with the Apple TV, and you could use it as a controller, and it was awesome. And they were like, why is then I started looking at them like, Monopoly. Why isn't there a Monopoly where you could come on the Apple TV and have the Monopoly board in front of you and I have, or Scrabble, Scrabble.
Because it's a bastard stepchild for Apple, the Apple TV.
And nobody's done this really well, which is so weird, I think, even Nintendo tried, but.
Speaking of services here, a couple of more stories real quick here. Verizon did launch earlier last month a new One Unlimited plan with Apple One included. Alongside the launch of the iPhone 14, they introduced the One Unlimited plan, which will include full subscription to the Apple One plan that, as we know, includes all the services that Apple offers. All Verizon customers will get that, and it does include that. It only gives 50 gigs storage though, so it's a small. You probably have to pay a little extra if you want more storage, but
it's more storage than you get with the standard free plan.
Yeah, and then plus this is included in your plan, their plan, depending on what that plan costs with Verizon. I don't use Verizon, so I can't I can't say.
The last I used Verizon, they could throw in a lot of stuff and still be more expensive than they were just stupidly expensive, and that's why I left them.
And any comments on that, Jeff?
There you go. More ways to lock your customers in.
Yep. Speaking of locking customers, this one just got released out today as we record as well. Google really wants iPhone users to switch to the Pixel. Of course, Google announced the Pixel 7 that came out. They're giving trade-in credits up to $1,000 if you trade in an iPhone to put towards the purchase of a Pixel 7 or Pixel 7 Pro, which starts at $499 and $899 respectively. You'll obviously get the most value out of the iPhone 13 Pro Max. If you trade that in, you get $900 to trade that in to go towards a whopping Pixel 7 or 7 Pro. Even the 10R and the 10S, you're getting $470, $410, and $415 to trade those phones in towards a Pixel. I'm almost tempted just to have an Android because if I get the 7, which starts at $599, what was that? It cost me $180 or something like that for that phone.
Yeah, I need I wonder what they'll give me for a first gen iPhone SE.
Doesn't mention that. It says third gen only. They're giving $440 for the third gen SE. So, I mean, hey, anybody interested in getting a Pixel 7?
Like a free low end Pixel.
$599 is the 7, and the $899 is the 7 Pro, which is crazy.
This is what. So the image I have in my head.
So can you get it for free if you trade like an iPhone in?
All but
practically.
If you have a 1 terabyte 13 Pro, yeah, I think you can.
How much did it give you for the 13 Pro?
13 Pro is $900.
But how much is the actual phone? Is what like they
$899 for the Pro. So yeah, almost free.
So they'll basically swap your phone.
Yeah.
Okay. So the image I have in my head, it's a Jeb Bush thing, and this is Google going, "Please clap."
Yeah. Please buy our phones. We want you to have our phone.
Flip around.
Oh boy.
Apple gives you Apple Trading gives you like $2 for like your Samsung.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, screw you.
My 2XL. I probably don't.
You go back to Android. You
take
peasant.
it.
I'm not. Here's 2 bits for your note.
You give us 50 cents.
Yeah,
we'll take it.
You can have the Pixel. I don't know why I'm even considering it. All right, let's move on to the topics this week. That was the news stories. Apple did release iOS 16.0.3, which did lots of fixes, including notification delays, CarPlay microphone levels. Oh my God!
Thank you,
and more. Thank you. Apple today released the 16.0.3. This happened Monday as we record this, right after 16.0.2. The biggest bug that stood out, and that was the stories and the topic I talked about last week with Patrice on the show, was the CarPlay microphone and people not being able to hear me when I'm talking to them. And I'm like, wait a minute, what? I don't understand. Why can't you hear me? It's going through it. So then I switched my iPhone.
You have in your car.
Yeah, it is what it is. So I switch it to the Bluetooth in the Uconnect, and they can hear me fine. So finally fixed that. So it does fix a lot of security updates, including the camera may be slow to launch, to switch between modes. Mail was crashing on launch after receiving a malformed email. But the biggest bug, like I said, was that stood out was CarPlay. And the funny thing was, we never saw a lot of people complain about it, because they tell me that a lot of people aren't using their CarPlay with their phone. But
that's crazy.
Go out, update it. Definitely worth the update. Obviously 16.1 will be coming out. We talk about that just a sec here with beta. Check it out. And they also released an update to watchOS. That was watchOS 9.0.2. It also fixed the microphone issues. There was a Spotify streaming interruptions. Okay, whoopee. I'm not a Spotify customer. And then a lot more things. Snooze alarm notifications continue after the alarm is deleted for assistive touch users. So lots of little bugs here and there. So worth on the watch, getting that taken care of, get those updated. But nothing else was affected other than those two. But then we move on to beta this week. 16.1 beta 5 is out. Warren, what do you see this week? Anything that stood out for you? I don't think there is much.
It's amazing. No, there's literally nothing I could tell you that's different.
So it's a lot of the stuff we've already been talking about. Support for live activities, the interactive notification that lets you keep an eye on things happening in real time from the lock screen and on the iPhone 14 Pro with the Dynamic Island. And the clean energy charging feature in the United States. It's designed to selectively charge when lower carbon emission electricity is available. I think that's
I feel like a better citizen since I installed.
How does it know?
Yeah,
we don't know. We never figured this out.
It really never has said. So
it's like somebody made this. I think somebody in Apple just said, add this to it and see if anybody realizes.
See if anybody actually calls us out on this BS.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
So like
and
the
iPad
closed door button in elevators that doesn't do anything.
Yeah. Well, it does something. It's just really slow at it.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Where the parachute.
And iPad OS 16.1 that was how to. You notice anything on your device, Jeff, as far as your iPad?
It's just amazing.
There's just it works.
It's not allowed on Lufthansa's airline, but it's okay.
God, you guys just won't let that go. iOS 16.1, some of the new features are coming back. Of course, that the redesigned battery indicator. Finally, you'll be able to see not only the percent that's in the battery itself. It'll actually show the image go down as the battery starts losing its charge. We talked about iPhone having Fitness Plus without need of Apple Watch, and preloading in-app content. So there's a lot of other stuff that's be coming here pretty soon here with 16.1 on iOS. WatchOS 9.1. You notice anything, Warren, on that? I don't think so. There's really much going on with that.
I think that was just today, right? Or yesterday?
Yeah.
Yesterday. Yeah.
No? tvOS, again, they don't really say much they do with tvOS.
What do you think of this? It did change the band color when I did it.
It doesn't match your shirt.
No, I know. So this is the one I ordered with the watch that I wasn't sure if I wanted or not. I put it on. It's some kind of neon green-ish. The beta did not change the watch. I did it, but
okay.
Just clarifying that.
What? Just out of curiosity, what version of watch does everybody have?
I have still got the Series 7.
8.
Warren?
8.
Okay.
Oh, the mic issue on the 8. I actually did experience that, so hooray for the 902 update.
Yeah. You're on what, the 5?
Yeah, I'm still on the 5. I will likely, I would love to get to Ultra just for the size, because I need big things because I'm a big guy. But
right.
I'm not going to spend $800 for a slightly larger watch. Not going to do it.
I'm not doing it because we're already, every month that goes by is closer to when I would probably get a new watch anyways. So I'm not going to do it.
So I'll wait until the 9 comes out, or whatever they call the next one.
Yeah. Let's there's been a couple stories. Of course, the iPhone 14 Plus came out, and this actually today this was published as we record. A report of unexpectedly low sales for the 14 and the 14 Plus has emerged. They're saying that the sales of both of those have been overshadowing the enthusiastic response of the Pro. What a surprise! There's the single, they're down almost 38% versus the 13 at the same time last year. So yeah, I think they've really put a lot of models out there, and people are realizing that the Pro is a pretty good iPhone.
I think the normal one was just a decoy from Apple to get people to buy the Pro.
Well, I think a lot of people that already had 12s and 13s just kind of looked at it and said, you know what, my phone is still doing everything I need it to do.
Right.
Why am I going to spend $1,000 for another phone that has a slightly better camera?
But if people are still buying the Pro over this, Apple's, they're losing a sale. They say they're losing a sale on their lower end phone, but getting a sale on their upper end phone. So,
well, not necessarily, but the thing is, Apple has a retention rate with the iPhone that is the envy of every other manufacturer that's out there. Typically, and you can see it with what Google's trying to do to bribe people to come and buy the Pixel. Once people use an iPhone, 85% of them, I think it was the last time I checked, 85% of them, their next phone is going to be another iPhone. But there's no other manufacturer out there, even Android phones en masse don't have that kind of retention rate.
But if people are buying it's not like people are not buying the non-Pro and then just not buying Apple if they're looking to buy. So I mean, they're Tim Cook he's an inventory specialist, so he's not cooking out the regular iPhones as much. So it's not like they have a warehouse full of them, I don't think. And the worst that's happening is instead of buying the lower end phone, they're either not buying a phone this year or they're getting the expensive phone. So
yeah, I mean, I waited. I didn't buy a phone this year.
Yeah, so I don't think this hurts Apple, I guess is what I'm saying. I don't think this is a bad story for Apple. I think this is
it hurts that. Well, remember as well that we don't really know how many have actually been sold.
There you go.
This is all speculation.
This is all speculation because Apple
analysts. Yeah, but we haven't
don't know their ass.
We haven't done this information for years and years and years, and every year Apple gets more valuable and valuable. So it doesn't. We don't need to know. It doesn't.
Well, when this story first came out, Apple's stock actually went down.
Right.
And but at the end whether of the year, that was manipulation, conspiracy corner, if this was manipulation by analysts to drive the stock price down a little bit. That happens
every year. Every year happens. And then every year Apple says we made more money than the year before. So that this can happen as many times during the year as it needs to happen, this up and down and people buying or selling stock. But at the end, if Apple is making more money, then the cycle continues.
Yeah. Okay. So keep in mind, Apple's really good at this. They can estimate really well what people are going to buy. And what happens every year is that they do their production estimates based on what they're pretty sure is going to happen. And then once all the models come out, then they do a readjustment to account for current sales and then projected sales based on that. So every year there's going to be a phone that comes out that they scale back production on a little bit because another model is going to be selling better. And every year we get a story about this model has disappointing sales. Apple blew it and prices and stock goes down.
Right. But there hasn't been any year that Apple has ever said, or we could fathom that Apple would ever say that their iPhone business lost money this year.
Well, they never lose money. They just don't have as many sales as the year before. And the big difference between previous years and now is in previous, like over the last couple of years, it's been the iPhone mini that was kind of the sales disappointment. But the main phone and the Pros were selling great. This year they don't have the mini. And let me finish. This year they don't have the mini. And it's the regular iPhone line that is, according to analysts, not selling as well as possibly expected. And the Pro line is the one that's selling very, very well. And it's not hard to see why, because there's not that much difference between the 13 and the 14. So a lot of the people that buy phones every single year are saying, maybe I don't have to do it this year.
But Guy, the only way Apple's going to ever lose on this deal is if they have warehouses filled with product. That's
right, but they don't.
Exactly. So throughout their history or the iPhone history, they haven't really took a hit on any decision they made or what people are going to buy or whether the mini was a flop or not or anything like that. Because if it was, it would be like the Atari ET cartridge where nobody just bought it and they had to dump these phones somewhere. Otherwise they're not losing money.
Well, the better analogy might be the Atari 7800. Yeah. Okay, sorry. We're kind of getting down to the weeds here.
Yeah, you're going down a rabbit hole here.
I don't think I ever had I had the 26.
I wanted to talk real quick about, let's going down a little bit of memory lane here about the evolution of the iPhone display bezels and the notch, because obviously we have the dynamic island that came out on the 14 Pro, which was a new revolution. But we think back to 5 years ago in September of this year of 2022. It was marking the 5th anniversary when the iPhone 10 came out, and I think all of us, some of us here, owned that phone. I believe you did, Jeff, as well, for a while, right? Mm-hmm. The 10, and the 10 was probably one of the more revolutionary innovations of their model in a long time. They really made.
It's always going to be remembered as a phone that you said you weren't going to get, and you got it.
Yeah, exactly, and I ended up getting it anyway.
That will be the moniker of this model of the model.
Yeah. Well, it was only because of the size, but anyway. So kind of looking back to the way things evolved, we remember the thick bezel era when you had the 4S, the 5S, the 6S Pro, and so on and so forth. The bezels were there, and we were used to them, and then the Touch ID came out in 2013. But then when the 10 came out, then we had the notch. And then everybody was in uproar a while. But my God, there's a notch on the screen. And then when that happened, and then the notch got a little smaller on the iPhone 12, and then now we have Dynamic Island. So where do you think, Jeff? Where do you see where things went? I mean, you've obviously owned, as many of us have owned, all these iPhones over the years. The bezel, I think we were just so used to it. How did you see the change when you went from the bezel to the iPhone 10 with the notch?
Getting rid of the bezel was actually really nice because we had more usable surface space on the phone,
right?
And I think that was a big game changer for Apple as far as displays go, because now they didn't have to work around a big notch or bezel at the top for all those sensors, and they didn't have to deal with the big bezel at the bottom for a Touch ID button. So it was like getting, from Apple's perspective, a nice upgrade without having to sacrifice on physical size.
Right. So what do you think, Guy? You own a number of iPhones over the years, and you had ones with the bezel and then the notch. Where did you see? How did you feel when it switched? From
the 8 to an SE. I was rocking an SE for a couple of years, and then I went to the 13. But the fact that there was a notch on the 10 and up was never really a factor in my not buying a new phone. It was kind of a non-issue for me. I think that most people went into it because it was something new and it was taking away from existing screen real estate. But I really don't think it was that big of a deal. I think it was mostly people just looking for something to complain about.
Yeah, I think most people didn't even really notice the notch. Like
or
average
wouldn't
users.
wouldn't have if there weren't all the stories.
Yeah, and it's the same with the Mac, the Mac laptops, where I know people that they got an M1 Mac and had no idea there was a notch.
Yeah, because they don't have an entire menu bar filled with all kinds of little utilities like so many.
They don't have issues like us.
Yeah. And when we have issues. Wait.
Boy, howdy.
Yeah. Boy, howdy. Brett, and that's in our YouTube chat, youtube.com/intouchwithios. He says he dislikes the notch. It's such a weird choice for a company that wants to display your content and get out of the way.
I mean, would we all prefer? I think we would all prefer no notch if we had to choose. Right.
Well, when Apple feels like they have the technology really nailed down to give us the features that we need without having any type of notch or dynamic island, then that will all go away.
Right. Yeah. So like Samsung is claiming they put all this underneath the glass is what they're saying. So the last I heard was you could, even though it was underneath the display, you could kind of still see the blurry, you can kind of see the imprint of where it is. I mean, you still notice it. It's just not, it's not a black dot like on the iPhone. So, right. but yeah, I guess, I agree with you. Once they think that it's going to not do anything stupid like that, they'll do it. Or, I mean, they just announced last week that they have no plans to put the Touch ID back on the iPhone. And, that sucks because the Touch ID was just great on the iPad. I have the iPad Mini and the Touch ID is great on that thing, so that would have been a cool thing too. But
so that leads us into Dynamic Island, and I think Dynamic Island we came out of left field for all of us following iPhone and Apple. I think it's something that's kind of exciting to see where it goes. I mean, right now it's only on the Pro Series models, but going to anticipate when the iPhone 15 comes out, they're going to put it across the board because they're obviously seeing a lot of people are saying great things about it and like it. As the third-party app developers start taking advantage of using the dynamic island, I think it's going to be something interesting to see, and we'll see how that goes. We'll see how it goes here. But what is next? There were rumors of having just a pill-shaped hole cut out, and when they were rumoring, that was kind of funny. They were talking about when they were talking about that. So that was
next. It's going to be the nothing. I mean, I'm hoping.
There you go. Warren nailed it.
I'm hoping this is the last iteration of trying to hide this thing. This is it. And again, that's what they're doing, is trying to hide the fact that we have all these cameras in order to do this great Face ID thing. That's why I brought up the Touch ID, because the notch would be gone. If you had a Touch ID phone, the notch would be gone. I think, like an iPad. I could be wrong on that, because like the iPad Mini doesn't have the notch and has a Touch ID. So my thinking is, an iPhone that had the Touch ID and did not have Face ID wouldn't need a notch, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Probably the bigger problem is the microphone, because you can't put a microphone behind glass and expect it to be able to pick up much. So there needs to be.
The iPad Mini has. I mean, that also doesn't have a notch, and it's got the microphone.
Yeah, well, but the iPads and iPhones aren't the same kind of devices. You can do a lot with a device the size of an iPad that you can't get away from in a phone where you want to have the smallest possible bezels that you can. So I don't know. I don't know if the notch will go away entirely, since they'll need to put at least the microphone someplace where it's not going to be muffled due to being covered by glass or something.
Yeah. All right. Let's. I got a couple tips here and an app before we wrap up the show for this week. There's a listener tip, actually. Talking to a friend of mine, the listener, he had a bit of a problem when he upgraded from his iPhone 11 to his iPhone 14 Pro Max. He had installed a VPN, and in this case, it was Norton 360. I tried not to laugh. I love you, buddy, but I don't understand why you have that installed. He had Norton 360 because it was a free, you get licensing for it.
Yeah, everybody uses McAfee.
Yeah, McAfee too. So he had the VPN. He had the VPN installed.
That's a joke, people. It's a joke.
I know. That's why I try to laugh and move on here. So Norton. He had it installed, and when he went to go restore it, and he was using iCloud to restore to the iPhone 14 Pro Max, it was stalled. And I went, I wonder why. Well, the VPN was trying to connect because it also brought over the Norton 360 app as it copied over all the apps from the restore. So be aware and make sure that you uninstall a VPN, any VPN software for that matter, before you do a restore from one phone to another, because
can I offer an alternative fix that may work for many people?
Yes.
Double check the settings for your VPN that you have on your iPhone, and make sure that it's not set to auto activate on whatever. Well, you could just set it so it can't auto activate. But if you like to have it auto activate, make sure it's set so that it excludes your trusted networks. So like, I'm assuming you're doing this at home. So you make sure that your home network is trusted, and then have your VPN not activate when you're on your home network.
Finally found a use for VPN on my iOS, on my iPhone after 10 years. And it's to watch the football games. Cause I bought, when my son was overseas, we bought him the package that you could get for overseas watching the NFL games. And so while he was in Dublin, he could watch NFL. So now he's home. He's not in Dublin anymore, but I'm continuing that. So now I could connect my VPN on iOS and go to the DirecTV app and watch all the football games and cast it over.
We're in London.
I'm a big proponent of VPNs. I use TunnelBear. And if it doesn't matter which device I have, iPhone, iPad, or Mac, if I go onto a public network, my VPN activates.
Do you guys sometimes get like some of your apps or in like mail freaking out, like where the hell am I now? And
No.
That's why, like, I know mail does. Sometimes I'll get like well, that's a whole other thing. But sometimes I'll get issues opening up mail, and certainly Microsoft locks me out sometimes right away.
Yep.
Because I think
I get that with a lot of the content providers. It's like you're not in an area that they expect you to be in.
Yeah.
And so you're obviously a criminal.
I get locked out of Microsoft every so often if I turn on a VPN here, because I think I'm Doctor Who and I time travel, and they're like, oh, let's turn off this guy's.
I use Surfshark, which actually works pretty well. I got it on the Mac, and I've been trying it on iOS and iPadOS from time to time. So.
Setup has a free. I use the one that comes with Setup, and
they have one too,
and it gives you on iOS too. Except that's one bug I found on the Mac with that is even after you turn off the VPN, and the VPN looks like it's off in the setups VPN, which is I forget what it's called, but they'll turn it off. But if you go into the Mac network preferences under VPNs, it's still on, so you'll get like crappy performance. You're like, what the hell? I'm like getting 2 megabytes per second.
So one more tip and another app before we wrap up here. Your quick access contents in the share sheet, sometimes you want to remove them. And you also the Siri and Apple suggestions. A lot of people don't like that. There's a way to turn that off. And the way you could do that is you go into settings and then go under Siri and search. And then under suggestions from Apple, you can turn off where it says show when sharing. We'll have a screenshot in the show notes for that. And a lot of times people don't even like that. It is kind of annoying that it shows that sometimes, and you may not want it. So you have those choices to be able to turn that off. So check that out, because sometimes you don't want quick context. You don't want showing that with sharing. So there you go. Last thing is I want to talk about an app real quick. 1Password just announced today as we record this that they have the version for Apple Watch. It's releasing with new features and complications. It now gives customizable access to nearly anything in the 1Password account, even when you don't have their iPhone or an internet connection. They did rebuild the app, and brings full support with watch face complications. And we got a link to the Agile Bits blog and talks about it. It's now offering complication that you can configure for quick access to nearly any kind of information from your 1Password account. Keeps your booking code handy when you're traveling. A complication for your current watch face, so you can get into it in a single tap. Always logging into a particular account for work that needs you to give a 2-factor code. Well, you can get that PIN from your watch face at a glance. So looks like they've done some real cool things. It just came out today as we recorded, so I haven't had a chance to play with it much, but going to be downloading it. You can't
copy and paste from your watch, though. That's the problem.
Well, it's more reference. So you have it right there. When you need to look something up, you don't want to have to pull out your phone real quick and
right. But if it's a code that you got to copy in that it's texting you, then you got to go on a phone or a laptop to get that. But yeah, it's cool.
So we'll definitely check that out. And we always like to support 1Password. We like 1Password. I think many of us here have been subscribers for a long time, or have owned the app and now have a subscription with them. I don't find them to be terribly expensive. It's $59 a year.
I have no idea what it costs. Whatever I'm paying, it's worth it.
Yeah, whatever paying, it's worth it. Yeah, I don't even think about it, honestly. I might see when the bill comes, like, okay, cool. Just take care of it. So, all right. I think we talked about a lot of stuff this week. Covered some great things. Thank you all for some great stuff that we've done. So let's go ahead and wrap up for this week. That's a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address, which is feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Twitter @intouchwithios. Support the show by buying me a coffee at intouchwithios.com/coffee. We would really appreciate it. You also can become a Patreon of the show by going to patreon.com/intouchwithios. We have 2 tiers available to support the show. We would really appreciate it. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe so you're notified when we are live streaming, which is usually at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Thursdays on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/intouchwithios, where you can watch the live stream as well as the recorded stream and listen to past shows. Visit In Touch with iOS magazine on Flipboard, where many of the topics we discussed are flipped into the magazine. The link is in our show notes. You can subscribe to the show in your favorite podcatcher, including Memir, Pocket Pass, and Overcast, and many others. But better yet, go to our website at intouchwithios.com, where all the links to all the ways to listen to us are there. I am Dave Ginsburg, and you can find me on Twitter at DaveG65. Guy Serle, thank you for being here and coming on the show this week. Please tell everybody where you can find you.
You can find me over on the mymac.com podcast with Gazmaz. Twitter is MacParrot and or VertShark. The VertShark channel over on YouTube is where you can see all of the vids. And eventually I will fix the VertShark website so that you can see all the odds and vids there as well. The Guy's Daily Drive, where I drive in my car and say stuff, which is weird, but I do it anyway. And that's about it. That's what I do.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. And Jeff Gamet, as always, a pleasure having you on the show. Where can people find you?
It's always a pleasure to get to be here. I enjoy hanging out with all of you. So where can you find me? Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Jay Gamet on all of those. Most Tuesdays on Mac Voices Live, Thursdays on The Big Show, most Thursday evenings here hanging out with all of you awesome people, Fridays on The Mac Show, and then also on The Context Machine with Brian Chaffin. And as we record, a new episode dropped just a few hours ago, so it's out there ready for you.
My cue, ready to listen.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you so much, Jeff. And Warren Sklar, thank you for being here as always. Where can people find you?
In my hole, and on Facebook, and with you, for the most part. Good to be here. Good to see you guys.
Yes. Thank you for being here. And thank you for listening. And for people who are in the chat room at youtube.com/InTouchWithIOS, we appreciate you talking with us this week. And thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll talk again soon.